When we vote, we take back our power to speak up, to make our voices heard, and to stand by those who we believe in. Good evening and welcome. This is Face the Nation. We join you yet again at the cusp of another election, right after concluding a presidential election. And as it is the case in all elections, especially at this time where Sri Lanka is at a very, very critical juncture as far as the future of our country is concerned. At the onset of the program, of course, it goes without saying that it is extremely important that we once again go to the polling station and vote for the candidate that we believe in, be part of this democratic process, and in doing so, make your voices heard. Now, to speak about what the political parties here in Sri Lanka have on offer at this general election, what their policies are, what they want the country to be in the next few years, and why you should cast their vote for them. We've got representatives from some of the main political parties here in Sri Lanka. Starting on my immediate right, we've got Dr. Mahim Mendis representing the Samagi Jana Balawegaya. He's not contesting this time, he's a member of the Nationalist. Thank you very much, Dr. Mahim Mendis, for joining us on the program. On his right, we've got Lakmali Hemachandra from the National People's Power. She is, of course, contesting. Not contesting, also on the Nationalist. I beg your pardon. Thank you very much, Lakmali, for taking time off your busy schedule for joining us on this program. On her right, we've got Damitha Wickramasinghe from the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna, and he is most definitely contesting this general election from the Colombo district. Thank you very much, Damitha, for joining us on our program today. And last but certainly not least, not a stranger to this program, we've got Dr. Kithsiri Manchanayake, a member of the United National Party, but this time contesting from the New Democratic Front, the NDF, that is under the symbol of the gas cylinder. Thank you very much, Dr. Manchanayake, for joining us on our program today. And of course, starting off today's program, the general election is going to be our main focus, and what the political parties have on offer at this general election. To start things off, I turn my attention to Dr. Mahim Mendis for the opening statement. Dr. Mahim, you contested the presidential election. The people decided to vote for the NPP. This time, what is the plan of the SJB? Are you all looking to secure power in the opposition? Are you all looking to secure overall power in Parliament and try to form a government? What is the plan of the SJB going into this general election? Your time starts now.
Very positively, we look at the outcome of the presidential election, though we lost, and we have every reason to believe that we established ourselves as a party that commands respect from all the communities, unlike any other party. That is very, very clear. We got the 52 seats that we won from all communities, very clearly proving that there isn't a party that is greatly respected as much as the Samagi Jana Balawegaya and the leader Sajith Premadasa. So we face the elections with great optimism, because we see that our policies have not been rejected. Those certain dynamics relating to the electoral process probably let us down, and we could not win it. But the 4.6 million votes remain a very, very formidable factor. And also, the people who voted for the United National Party, I do not think they opposed Sajith Premadasa. Probably they thought that Mr. Wickramasinghe happens to be a leader who should be able to continue with what he was doing. But I believe they understand very clearly that he was on a suicide mission, and he lost all credibility. The people understand why he came forward as a candidate with the sole intention in defeating Samagi Jana Balavegya candidate with absolutely malicious interests. I do not think the people are going to make another mistake. Very clearly, the people are wiser. They know very clearly if those votes were not broken maliciously by Ranil Wickramasinghe, today the president would be Sajith Premadasa. No doubt about that. And we are going to very clearly get the votes of those people who are now wiser.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mahim Mendis. Of course, we can get into the nitty-gritties of these matters as we progress in today's program. I now move my attention to Lakmali Hemachandra from the National People's Power Movement. Well, you got what you all wanted. You asked the general public to believe in the NPP, to believe in Andrukumara Dissanayake, and people did believe. They cast their vote. But now comes the next stage, the parliamentary election. And just because the presidential election was won doesn't mean that all is done. As to how far your program or the program of the NPP can be implemented gravely depends on the result of this parliamentary election. So going into this general election, what are the intentions of the NPP like? Of course, you will be looking for a majority in parliament, but do you think that that is possible, especially given the fact that only 42% of the vote was secured by Andrukumara Dissanayake? We saw former President Gotabaya Rajapaksa securing somewhere north of 55%, 6.9 million votes, and still barely being able to get a two-thirds majority. So having secured only 42% of the vote and having 58% of the votes that were cast being cast against your presidential candidate, is the NPP certain that they can secure a commanding majority at the general election this time? Your time starts now.
So yes, we asked for a vote for a change, and people have chosen change, and we are very grateful and thankful for that, first of all, because we believe that it was a hard choice to make, irrespective of whatever the campaigning that we did, and you know, whatever we went and told people. We went around the country, had many rallies, did door-to-door canvassing, and tried to inform everybody, but nevertheless, making a party that only had 3% of vote, take 42% of vote in the presidential election is I think that's a very brave choice by people for change. And we are committed to respecting that choice and respecting that mandate. And we think that we are duty bound towards people to now take it forward from there. And as you rightly said, we do need a parliamentary majority for that. And I mean, the parliament was dissolved by President Andrukumara Dissanayake as well, because we believe that the previous parliament did not reflect people's will, and it was not a democratic parliament. So we wanted to give people the chance to elect their own parliament and elect that parliament according to the presidential election vote. So we believe that, I mean, even before the presidential election, so many people were asking us, do you think that you could win? Your party has only 3% of the vote. You know, it's almost impossible. They were coming up with so many calculations, so many theories. But we still believe that people are standing for a change, and we are moving with the people. And similarly, this time also, we believe that people will make their choice again. We are not asking for two-thirds majority. We are not asking for that. We only want a strong government in the parliament, a majority government that can make the choices and make the decisions comfortably and confidently without, you know, going into coalitions with other political parties, because we have seen what has happened in the previous elections and in the recent past with, you know, I think many political parties tried coalitions in the presidential election as well, and people refrained from that. And I think that was one of the main points that made people pick us above everybody else. So we want to keep that going. We want to bring a political change, a change in the political culture, and change in the way our country is being, you know, governed, the way our economy is managed. So we want to do all those changes, but to do that, we do need power. And we have successfully done one election. We have done 50% of the job. And I think to go forward, we need the rest of 50% as well. So the only request that we have from people is to keep believing in change and we have proven, I mean, before the presidential election, there were so many allegations against NPP saying that, there'll be violence after NPP will come to power. There'll be so many, there were so many misconceptions about NPP. But after the election, I think we have one of the priorities that we've had was to make sure that everybody understands who we are now that we are in power. Now that President Comrade Anurakumar Dissanayake is the president of the country now. We want them to know who we are. We have a bigger platform to show that. And I think we have done a good job showing them that we are not who we were portrayed to be. And I think people have already changed their mind about us. And they will continue to do so after the campaigning starts. So that's the hope we have.
Lakmali, interesting statement. You said that the NPP is not asking the general public for a 2/3 majority.
Yeah.
Why did you say that?
Because, 2/3 majority has a bad history in Sri Lanka. So we do want to have a check on ourselves.
Okay. Quite progressive.
And we believe that, democracy needs representation of various people, of all kinds of political opinions, of all kinds of ethnic and religious minorities, and we want to leave that space.
So any idea on what parties you prefer people to, bring into parliament to keep you all in check? I don't think you can really disclose.
I wouldn't
Left
really.
or right?
More of the left will be better. But
all right, Lakmali, we'll get into the details. Quite an interesting conversation to embark on. Thank you very much, Lakmali, for that opening statement. I now move my attention to Damitha Wickramasinghe from the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna contesting in the Colombo district for this general election. Now, Damitha, Namal Rajapaksa entered the fray this time amidst several crises. He was not planning on contesting, at least until just a few days before the nominations were handed in. It was several other candidates were being considered. However, at the end, he contested, secured 2.7% of the vote, I believe. So going into this general election, what is the intention of the SLPP? What is your plan for the country, and why should the general public vote for you? Your time starts now.
Well, let me start by saying that Namal Rajapaksa contesting was a victory itself. Because our party has a specific ideology which is leaning to the center left. And due to the Aragaleo, whatever reasons that occurred in the country, the party had to elect Ranil Wickramasinghe as the president. And majority of the party base was not happy about it. Let me be frank. Leadership had to take that decision pertaining the circumstances at the Aragalaya and whatever economic debacle happened in the country. So by considering that, Namal distancing himself from the right to the center itself was a victory. You were very correct. There were several other candidates who were considered to be on the ticket, but at the 11th hour they had we had to do some change.
They withdrew, actually.
They withdrew, you can say so. But that's where the leaders are born, right? When a crisis happens, you need a captain who can maneuver in a storm, not in a calm sea. So Namal came forward, and due to many reasons, we have not performed up to the mark that we expected. But analyzing the election results, we have clearly seen that about 1 million of votes have gone to, from our stock vote, has gone to President Wickramasinghe. And 65%, I would say, has gone to NPP. And about another million have stayed away from, voting.
Okay.
So the potential is for us to start the general election is from 2.4 million votes.
Okay.
That's the potential we have at hand. And also, as a side effect, as a positive side effect, I would say, the split that happened within the party due to, President Wickramasinghe coming up as an independent candidate. It sort of cleansed the party as well, majority of the excess baggage, right, I would say, was taken over by President Wickramasinghe.
But that excess baggage was the top leadership of the SLPP at a time.
Well, that was the same leadership the people were against, right?
Okay.
That was one of the reasons why, our own hardcore, centre-left voters decided to go with the NPP, give them a chance, right? So that was also a good positive effect on the party. And also afterwards in the general election, I would say every district, people like me who have been in the political sphere but never were in open politics have been given the chance to contest. And we can speak on our track record. And Mr. Mahinda Rajapaksa being the philosophical leader, now we have a new leadership. Which is Namal Rajapaksa, and we are positively looking into the future, and we are quite confident that we can, show a better, result in the general election.
Thank you very much, Damitha Wickramasinghe from the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna. We now move our attention for the opening statement to Dr. Kithsiri Manchanayake from the New Democratic Front, also a member of the United National Party, contesting from the New Democratic Front. Dr. Manchanayake, now, I believe Dr. Mahim Mendis said that Ranil Wickramasinghe contesting the presidential election was a malicious attempt to defeat Sajid Premadasa. I'm pretty sure you'd of course disagree with him on that fact. But whatever said or done, Ranil Wickramasinghe did lead our country during a crisis, and there was a peaceful transition of power, although there was some confusion among the general public when curfew was imposed and then extended. I must say I too was part of the people who were a bit confused as to why that happened. But at the end of the day, it was a peaceful transition of power, and Sri Lanka is in a better place today as far as peace and security in the country is concerned. But coming up at this election, what is the main objective of the New Democratic Front? What would the NDF do if the people decide to vote you in, or decide to vote candidates from the NDF who are contesting into Parliament? What would be your priority? Your time starts.
Yeah, Chang, thank you very much for inviting me for the program. First of all, I would like to answer Dr. Mendis' question. So we don't
respond to Dr. Mendis' statement. He didn't raise the question.
I would just say we don't want to defeat anybody. Ranil Wickramasinghe contested. He has proven himself by delivering things for 2 years, stabilize the country, stabilize the economy, and he proved. Then people wanted him to come back and run the country for another 5 years. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. So then President Wickramasinghe invited his former deputy leader, Sajid Premadasa, to come and help him be his prime minister and continue. But he refused 2-3 times. He would have done that. If he did it, today's the Prime Minister is Sajid Premadasa, and Ranil Wickramasinghe is the President of the country. But he didn't come. That is purely his decision, not his team was willing. We know because I was on the negotiation table with some of the SJB guys. So they wanted to come. By Sajid Premadasa himself decided not to, I don't know, some other reasons. Right? Anyway, both defeated. Right? So you know the story now, small days, if you come together, you can fly. If you divided, you can't win, right? So that's that basic principle they didn't follow, right? So basically, other thing, what I have to say is, I'm really agree with Lakmali. So she is very optimistic. She said, we don't want 2/3. So I like to hear that. I like to hear that. Because we have bad experiences 2/3. It's Mahinda Rajapaksa got 2/3, he had some problem. And Gotabaya Rajapaksa could only last 2 years. Andrakumar Sidhana was like that. He didn't want to 2/3 and get out of in 2-3 years home, right? So we need an opposition. We need a strong opposition where they are playing that game. We request this general public to get good people. We know that there are so many. I knew that Lakmali has said that we need more people from left-hand side. I don't know what she meant, right?
I think she meant the political left.
So right? We have a better chance.
Exactly. So what I'm trying to say is, we need good people. We urge people to don't go behind the trend, right? Apit Malimao, we gave, so we give you to Malimao this time. I mean, be Right. Yeah, we have to give the majority. That's I'm with that one. But not 2/3. But we need a very strong opposition where we are playing that game. So that where we are, we know that it's very difficult for me to get a chance from Gampa district in that list to get one or two or three. I know that, but I'm trying my hard to get it because we need very strong opposition. That's we are not going to say that no, we are forming the government. One of our leaders is going to prime minister in this country. No, even we are not going to do that. We want to give.
You're realistic.
We have to be realistic. We have to give NPP to chance. They have been not in the power. This is the first time they are in NPP. So always they were in the opposition and criticizing. Now they have a chance. Deliver and show. So we are also that. We whatever support we can give them. Right now they are practicing all the things what Ranil Wickramasinghe did. So it's continuing it. Only thing is that recently they have mentioned that they don't want to privatize. So it's not Lanka. But I have my doubts. IMF, one of the IMF conditions. That is IMF. So whether they can do that.
But I think even before the NPP announced that they are outright not going to privatize Sri Lankan Airlines, there were attempts by the government to privatize it. They absorbed $500 million of the debt and then tried and didn't really work out. And I believe the Prime Minister, the former Prime Minister said, okay, we are abandoning our efforts to privatize.
I'm not telling that only solution is privatization. So if they can negotiate. So we can go to now say, I was at Sri Lanka Insurance, one of the acting chairman on time and said, we are going to privatize. So we can say, we can have it here in the stock list in the stock exchange. I mean, that also can be. So that they have to negotiate that with the IMF because we bound with IMF rules, all these.
The conditions.
So therefore, we have some issue. That's why I'm saying at the moment they are doing it that. But I have my little doubts why they have taken so much of treasury bonds last few days. In the October 2nd, they have taken 140.2 billion. October 9th, they have taken 85 billion. October 11th, they have taken 95 billion. October 15th, they have 97 billion. This is a little bit. I have a small doubt on that why they are taking so. But anyway. But we shouldn't criticize, we shouldn't do anything, that's let them do. Because this vote is for basically not for Malima, it's Andhra Kumar Dissanayaka's vote, right? So they vote for Andhra Kumar Dissanayaka, vote for change, right? Because then this vote for other side, RW, Ranil Wickramasinghe's vote for Ranil Wickramasinghe, because they're independent candidate. But SJB vote is for not for Sajid's team. I'm just telling it, right?
Okay.
Because you can remember the last Face the Nation program, who Iran Wickramasinghe was in this seat. So then I asked the same question. Yes. We are not talking about the leader. We are talking about our team. We have a good team. Don't focus on the leader, right? So now this particular good leader has taken 5.5 million votes in 9. Because I'm also great support at that time. We were in the UNP and 5.5 million.
Previous general election, Ranil Wickramasinghe has said that he's not going to come into Parliament. However, after a hiatus of 6 months, he did enter Parliament for good or for bad. So I'm just saying sometimes, people can do things quite contrary to what they say. So, but be that as it may.
I'll tell you, give me a second. He was in the national list. He was in the national list at that time.
Yes.
Right? This time he was in the national list even.
Okay.
But he didn't want to come. And one of the persons said, please, sir, please come. Because country was in the bad direction at that time. When you got the first 6 months, we knew that it's going to collapse.
Dr. Manchanayake,
unfortunately, of this country came to the parliament.
Well, Dr. Manchanayake, we'll get into these details as we progress in this program. Let's now progress to the second phase of the program. Of course, questions from our journalist on my left. We've got Nadim. From our journalist on my left, we've got Nadim Majid, and on my right, Theruni Karuna Ratna. So the floor is open for questions. Nadim, why don't we start off with you?
Thank you. I mean, we can begin with Theruni if you want, but I'll go. Thanks. Lakmali, I'll actually start with you because if I'm not mistaken, the day or just before the moratorium, the final program that we had Prime Minister, then NPP Executive MP, Dr. Harni Amarasuriya was, and since then I believe you're the first NPP representative to come on Face the Nation. So I want to talk to you about some of the decisions that have been made in these past few weeks, specifically with regard to the energy sector. Because we know that one of the main reasons for Sri Lanka's economic crisis as well is our dependence on fossil fuel as an energy source. This makes us vulnerable to external shocks, and now at a time of growing or escalating global conflict, the push for renewables, which Gotabaya Rajapaksa promised, which Maithripala Sirisena promised before that as well, has not really picked up at the pace that it should. In this backdrop, I want to question the thinking of the president behind appointing a CB chairman who has continuously called for, it's his opinion, I won't say whether it's wrong or right, but I want to see how it stands, how it compares with the NPP's policy. Because this individual has constantly been calling for, we need, he's been a supporter of the Sampur coal power plant. He has said that the only way we're going to get solid base load of energy is through these fossil fuel plants, which has been disputed by other experts. And I know that more progressive members of the NPP also who talk about energy policy have held to this point. This appointment doesn't seem to stack with the policy of the NPP itself. What's the thinking here?
I mean, I'm not an expert on energy. I should start off with that.
No, but I mean,
nevertheless,
you know what the NPP policy
is. That's relevant. So nevertheless, the policy of NPP is that political leadership decides on policy. So whoever is the chairman of CEB, as you said, is appointed because of his technical expertise and because he knows the subject. But the policy of NPP on sustainable energy is not decided by whoever is heading the CEB just because he might have personal
criticism, I'll pause just there, a continuous criticism from a lot of activists and experts, other experts in the energy sector, those who advocate for renewables and who say that, even baseload energy can come from a mix of renewables, have said that a position that they have consistently maintained is that in the past as well, the reason why previous administrations have been unable to get the traction on renewable adoption that they need was because officials who were not interested in implementing government policy.
Might have been so.
So when you have those same officials who have in the past resisted implementing government policy and you reappoint them, is that system change?
Well, let me start off by saying that NPP is a party that believes in strong political leadership. That was the slogan that we campaigned on as well. Because we think of whatever the officials' personal policies or personal opinions are, it should be the task of the political leadership to make sure that the line, that the national policy, that the policy of the government is implemented by the officials.
So I'm glad that you said political leadership.
That's the strength of the...
On political leadership...
I don't think you're letting me finish.
No, but on political leadership, I understand what you're saying, right? You say, okay, it's
because
the official has the expertise, it depends on political leadership. Yes. On political leadership, what's the stance on the Adani project?
That has to be, I mean, we have publicly said what our stance on.
Political leadership moved from cancellation to review.
They're reviewing the project, so.
But earlier the political leadership said it would be cancelled.
I think you have to wait for these decisions to be made.
No,
because you know why?
What I'm asking is, if the president within the first few weeks, if the cabinet within the first few weeks itself are second guessing the
they're not second guessing.
They said they were going to cancel it, then they said they're reviewing. They're doing the same thing that Mr. Wickramasinghe said with the Port City project. He said he's going to cancel it. After that, we ended up paying a fine and we had to implement it anyway.
Because, these are very, we're talking about Adani and India here. And so, we are not talking about a simple issue here. I think everybody is aware of the geopolitical pressure Sri Lanka is under when it comes to India. I'm saying as much as I can say here. So then, I think a political leadership also has to be responsible in how they make decisions and how they go forward with decisions. And like Dr. Kithsiri said, it's one thing to criticize from the... I'm not saying that we are taking back any of that criticism. That's not what I'm saying. But when you are in the government, you are also responsible for whatever that decision is. And I think we have to wait for these decisions to be made. That is
So,
my only comment on that.
Because you spoke about bilateral relations, the involvement
Yeah.
of India as well. We know that one of the things that in Indian foreign affairs that always comes up in their bilateral relations.
And
with
there are
us
so
is
many cases against this Adani
Yeah.
project as
So,
well in the Supreme Court as well.
In this Indo-Lanka relationship, one of the issues that constantly comes up is the issue of devolution of power, the Indo-Lanka Accord, implementation of the 13th Amendment, all of those things. So there's an interesting article that was published in the Hindu newspaper's Frontline magazine, which is written by an academic from the Jaffna University, an analysis of President Anukumara Dissanayaka's victory. And he says that, let me quote you actually, that line where he says, the failure on the part of JVP leaders to introspect into their chauvinistic history and the reluctance...
Who is the professor here?
This is Professor Dr. Mahendra Thiruvarangam.
Okay.
Right. And sorry, I lost my quote there. So the failure of the JVP leaders to introspect into their chauvinistic history and the reluctance to express any serious commitment to power devolution seems to have contributed to AKD's poor show among the minorities in the north and east. The narrative on system change found only limited support among the Tamil-speaking communities, as it did not offer any assurance with regard to structural changes in the Sri Lankan state that the minorities have been demanding for decades. Now, my question is, as an observer, when I look at, let's say, the flip-flopping on the Adani project.
There's no flip-flopping on Adani.
It went from cancellation to review is flip-flopping.
I think you are trying to push a position that you have on this.
I'm not pushing my position. I'm telling you exactly what your leaders have said.
Yeah.
They said they're going to cancel it. Then they said no.
Now they're reviewing it.
Isn't
Now
that a
they're
flip-flopping?
reviewing it. I don't understand how that's
Let me ask this. When Mr. Ranil Wickramasinghe
I mean, you
said,
don't know whether they're cancelling it or
okay,
not.
no, I want to
it.
understand what you comprehend when you hear the phrase flip-flopping. When Mr. Ranil Wickramasinghe said that he was going to cancel the Port City project, and then later on they went ahead and implemented it anyway, was that flip-flopping?
We are not implementing the Adani project at the moment. We are reviewing the project.
So technically,
So
I think what Lakmali is saying is they're reviewing how to cancel it.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. We are considering the project.
Okay.
Because that's how government
bringing it back to the issue of the 13th Amendment, because these votes will be important in the upcoming election as well. No? There hasn't been clarity from the NPP leadership. There have been talk about implementing the 13th Amendment, but then others have said, no, we're going to have a new constitution. When questioned about the transitional justice process on this show, one of your members, I won't mention the name since he's not here to respond, but he said we have no plan, or I'm not aware of any plan that we have as far as transitional justice goes. So on these issues that Dr. Thiruvannamalai is talking about, what is the NPP's plan to introduce social cohesion, reconciliation, build trust amongst voters in the North and East?
First of all, I don't think NPP has performed poorly in the North and East. When you compare with what NPP received in the previous election in 2020 or even in 2019, and when you compare that with what we have now, I think there is a massive growth of the NPP base in North and East. That's the first point. And I think we welcome that change. We are not at all disappointed about the vote that we got from North and East. But I do admit that there has to be more support from North and East for an NPP government. We do expect that, and we want to build towards that. So if you look at the NPP manifesto, it's not true that we don't have anything on transitional justice. We have a specific section on transitional justice. We have talked about political prisoners. We have talked about investigating what happened during the war. We have talked about constitutional reform that was attempted between 2015 and 2019, and how we want to take forward that constitutional reform process. And we have mentioned enough times that NPP is not against the 13th Amendment. NPP is not, if you look at the history of the 13th Amendment, from the North and the South, it has been a problematic, in the Sri Lanka Accord has been a problematic agreement. But nevertheless, it is part of our history, and Tamil people especially from the North and East believe that there is a certain solution in the 13th Amendment, and we want to accept that decision on the 13th Amendment, and we are not going to repeal the 13th Amendment. We are not going to do anything that takes away any of the rights that they enjoy right now. But we do want to engage in a more productive constitutional making process, which actually brings consensus from the North and South about what kind of a country and what kind of a constitutional arrangement we want to live in. I think one of the reasons that 13th Amendment has become such a controversial topic that cannot be, even talked about. I mean, I think we are in a better position now to talk about the 13th Amendment. We don't have the racist vitriol thrown at us now. But, I mean, honestly, but still, as somebody who has, constantly talked
Dr.
about...
Mahendran is accusing the JVP of being perpetrators of the racist vitriol. He says that the failure of the part of JVP leaders to introspect into their chauvinistic history.
No, JVP has never had a racist vitriol throwing campaign.
I'm not saying that.
There were parts of JVP which had that, and we know where they are and who they are with right now. They are not part of...
Speaking of the FSP?
No.
Because they have if you're speaking of the FSP group that's backing the Janaragala Sandhana, they've openly come out and said that they back the...
I'm not talking about FSP. Let me be very clear. I'm not talking about FSP. Okay. And FSP is not a racist formation. Yeah. And so what I was trying to tell you is that we want to continue a productive constitutional making process, because we don't want to have a constitution should be for the people, from the people, and accepted by the people. A constitution is only implementable if it is accepted by the people. And one of the problems with the 13th Amendment has always been that it had a huge opposition from various sides of, not just from the South. There was a part, there was a part of North as well. Even I believe even LTT was opposed to the 13th Amendment. So it has not been an accepted amendment, which I mean, regardless of that, it is part of the law now, and we are bound by the Constitution to accept it.
Okay, Dr. Mendis, switching tracks and coming to you, it feels like the faith in the SJB leadership has sort of imploded. Would you agree with that statement?
SJB leader Sajith Premadasa is very clearly considered a principled leader by the majority of the SJB. Not only SJB, but also the Samagi Jana Sandhana. We had all these parties coming forward to be partners with the SJB alliance-led alliance, not because of anything, but because of the trust and the faith that the largest number of leaders had in Sajith Premadasa. We were just now talking about the Northeast problem. The people of the North and East very clearly know that Sajith Premadasa always had a consistent policy, not a Jekyll and Hyde policy. We understood very clearly, in line with the social democratic ethos that we have in social, political, economic, cultural, moral sectors of development, we clearly believe in power sharing. We do not...
We do as well. Just to be very clear, we also believe in power.
We do not contradict...
For clarity there, your party leader has said, I'm going to fully implement the 13th Amendment, but members of the party have contradicted the party leader on multiple occasions. Especially when it comes to...
Balawegya is truly a democratic party with a strong democratic ethos, unlike the NPP or the UNP or any other party.
But specifically on my question regarding members contradicting the party leader's stance on power, because you said that you all believe in the concept of power sharing, but members of your party have contradicted your party leader's position when it comes to the devolution of power. So again, I'm asking, what I'm trying to comprehend here is, what do you all mean when you say these things?
I do not think... I'm a member of the Politburo, the working committee of the Samagi Jana Balawegya. We very firmly believe in power sharing. And I do not think that there is a formidable force in the Samagi Jana Balawegya, a racist, fundamentalist force that opposes power sharing, because that is built into our ideology.
Because you said that, say this is a campaign event that was held the week before the election, where there was chauvinistic, vitriolic statements being made on that stage regarding your opponents in the NPP. Mr. Anukumar Dissanayake, President Anukumar, now President Anukumar, now Prime Minister Dr. Hani Amarasuriya, which was addressed here as well, raised by Dr. Hani Amarasuriya, and which I believe Mr. Manchanayake was also here on that show, which Mr. Iran Wickramasinghe ended up condemning that action by the SJB. So you're
What is
telling
the
me
action of the SJB?
of falsely portraying that the NPP was going to do away with the with Article 9, that basically fear-mongering along ethnic lines.
Well,
And your party, I believe Mr. Wickramasinghe is the party treasurer, or he's a senior member in the working committee or the central committee, and he condemned that action on this show. So when you say that we do not have racist vitriolic groups within our party, your own party members, senior members of your party, have condemned actions that have been organized by your
we are
party's
principled
campaign.
enough. Our party leader Sajith Premadasa, or I, Mahim, as a member of the working committee, or Iran Wickramasinghe, we will always be principled enough to dissociate ourselves from any racist remarks or outbursts by anyone, because SJB has absolutely no place for racism.
So let me,
That is why the minority-
because you say that the SJB has absolutely no place for this kind of vitriol. Do you believe that the SJB, being a member of the Politburo, sorry, is it the Politburo?
Working committee.
Working committee, right? Being a member of the working committee as well, do you believe that you all should take disciplinary action against the people who organized that event, who said, who were engaged in the fear-mongering along ethnic lines? Do you believe that there should be action taken against them?
Absolutely, absolutely. We do not fear, we do not encourage, under any circumstances, any person in the SJB engaged in bringing the SJB into disrepute in the eyes of the people, especially the minority communities with smaller numbers. We do not ever encourage any such remarks. Even today, right now, I haven't heard anything that you see that you are talking about, and Mr. Iran Wickramasinghe apologizing. Well, I haven't heard anything, but I tell you,
It was on this show. Dr. Manchanayake can confirm it for you.
If you say
I'm not
that
saying
any such member made remarks that bring the Samagijana Balavegya, the pluralist ethos, peaceful coexistence, the policy that we believe in, into disrepute, we openly apologize to the people. Because we are a strong democratic party that believes nothing but equality of all communities.
Dr. Mendis, for clarity's sake, just so our viewers know, nothing I've said are things that I am saying. I'm repeating to you things that your party leaders, members of your party have said, that energy experts have said when I was talking about energy. None of what I've said here right now is my opinion. I'm just asking you what you all think about other things. So, Dr. Manchanayake, I'd like to come.
Nadim, if I could just pose one question to both, actually, Dr. Manchanayake and Damitha Wickramasinghe. Now, based on your opening statements, you all clearly said that, you know, we're not living in a fantasy world where we believe that our parties can get a governing majority or a two-thirds majority or a simple majority or anything of that sort. We believe, I believe it was both of y'all's opinions, but Dr. Mahim Mendis said that they are going in for a government. But the two of you said that your parties are looking to build a strong opposition. So obviously the two parties, the NDF and the SLPP, are competing against each other. So I'd like to first ask Damitha Wickramasinghe on why you think that the SLPP would be an ideal choice for, you know, forming a good, strong opposition over the NDF, now, simply because both of your parties or both of you said that you are looking at forming a strong opposition. So why do you think your party is better at forming a strong opposition than the NDF? Why do you think
the first reason is obvious, no? Our party has a leader and the NDF is, I suppose, leaderless because the leader is not contesting, leader has retired from active
So we have
electoral
a Prime Minister to lead the based on the nationalist.
Is he the leader of the NDF, Mr. Manchanayake?
Yeah. He's the alliance. He's the leader of the alliance.
Oh, okay, all right. Sorry, I stand to be corrected.
He's the leader of the NDF.
Yeah.
So what position? So Ranil Wickramasinghe only holds leader of the UNP.
He's the leader of the UNP and he's the alliance leader, but he's not. You know, you can get leaders who are not contesting, no, right? Supreme leader is there. second layer.
So, but then
So, Dr.
I'm just wondering.
Can I ask, who are the office bearers in the New Democratic?
Actually, this belongs to some, I think, Honorable Wickramasinghe and the team. We don't have such structure on that, right? We are just use that party
So it's a
to
temporary
contest,
pass.
temporary party to contest this election. So we under gas cylinder, we are trying to.
But can I ask you why? Because we know that, for example, in the hill country, in the Nureli district, for example, Mr. Jeevan Thondaman is contesting on the elephant.
Yeah.
But a lot of and he's from the CWC, which is also an established party with the cockerel, but he's going with the elephant.
Very good question.
But none of the actual elephant members
exactly
are contesting from the elephant.
That's our worry also, right? But these people from these the porters and all the people helped Ranil SLPP, everybody helped Ranil Wickramasinghe for the general election. We can't let them go. We want to come. We have it's unethical. We want to. That's why we want to come as a unit and contest.
So, Dr. Manchanayake, you said at the beginning of this program, you said that one of the reasons Mr. Wickramasinghe has stepped back is because he wants to allow a second tier to come up.
Yeah.
Now, why didn't he feel that way when Mr. Sajith Premadasa was asking for the leadership in the run-up to the
Before the
2019
presidential
election
also.
and even after the presidential election?
So actually, you can't ask and by force leadership.
But
Because
he
now,
ran.
can you remember Honorable Ranasinghe Premadasa?
Is it because Mr.
how he got
Wickramasinghe
it?
is waiting
How he
past
got
the
it,
party from
right?
Uncle to
He
nephew?
was a good second person to the leader. He didn't try to challenge the leader. He was there, calm and quiet. He got the opportunity. That is what your opportunity will get. You shouldn't go and by force trying to take it.
I don't think
you
he
shouldn't do that.
ever
right?
try to force himself.
Right. So he was. I mean, I was there in the party since 1995. No,
Let me answer that.
I know that.
But Dr. Manchanayake, I think Lakmali will agree with me. If Anukumar Dissanayake had followed the same formula that you're prescribing, he would not be president today.
Yeah, probably. So there are some. So somebody told that leaders are born. Are true because Ranil Wickramasinghe has shown his leadership, but I mean, you can't take the leadership in a party majority working committee should like the person, right? So now I mean, even now.
When you say party majority, is it a majority of the working committee or a majority of the party members?
No,
the rank and
normally
file that need
leaders select. There is a mechanism, the executive committee and the working committee. So they are the people who are the leader. So the reason is this, right? Now actually we are fortunate that we didn't select the Sajith Premadasa as leader at that time. Right? Otherwise we are all in trouble. Right?
But then
So
the argument that they say that, you know, Mr. Wickramasinghe's candidacy was meant to sabotage Mr. Premadasa's candidacy, when you consider the fact that even after your words, you said 5.5 million votes, he did well in 2019, but now he's dropped to this month. When you consider the fact that even after getting 5.5 million votes, your leader, Mr. Wickramasinghe, didn't see fit to hand over the reins to the next year.
Why should
Isn't that contradictory?
Why should he? The leadership.
Why shouldn't he?
If you,
He's the leader of the opposition.
If he's not showing the leadership qualities, I mean, you can take any votes.
So Dr. Manchanayake, so you're
Ranjan
saying
Ramanayake
that,
also got majority of votes.
So Dr. Manchanayake, you're saying that the sole qualifying factor is whether or not Mr. Ranil Wickramasinghe, the leader, believes that whoever is in second position or whoever is his successor is suitable or not.
Not leader, even myself. Because that's why I didn't go to SJP.
2015 president.
That's why I didn't go to SJP. Likewise, majority of the party members didn't. The people say that is now it's proven in this election. It's proven that is not fit enough to be a leader.
So,
right? So that's why even
I think Nadeem, Dr. Mahim
Dr. Manchanayake, if I can just very quickly try to clarify something. Now we know that the NPP has sort of positioned itself long as a centre-left, let's say, or left of centre. When you look at the manifesto, the things they're talking about, you know, the SJB talks about social democracy, social market economy. When I look at the makeup of the New Democratic Front, the gas cylinder, I'm finding it difficult to figure out what kind of gas is in this cylinder.
Probably 2 brands in Sri Lanka, one of the 2. But I'm trying to say,
what are the guiding principles behind this movement? Is it a centrist movement? Is it more sort of right wing? Your leader has been called neoliberal in the past. Is that what you all are continuing? Because you mentioned the former Prime Minister who's on the top of the national list, Mr. Dinesh Gunawardana's Mahajanayake Satperamuna is a leftist party or calls itself a leftist party. I'm trying to see what is this kottu that we have going on?
I clearly told you, we are trying to make very strong opposition. We are not opposing that we are going to form a Prime Minister and challenge President Kumar Dissanayake. We don't want to do that. We have that bad practice in twice during Honorable Chandrika Kumartunga's time and Maithripala Sirisena and Ranil Wickramasinghe. So we don't want to go into that mess. So therefore, we don't want to form a government or we don't want to form a Prime Minister. We want to let them work this few years and see, right? So, but I have a small question to you. So now I have seen nepotism in this thing. There are 2, you always challenging and accusing all the other political parties. There are no relations, nothing, no father and the mother, husband and wife, or a father and son. But here we have seen 2 people, wife and the husband, and son and the...
if I may add to that, that's one of the, hardest criticism the SLPP faces, father and son issue. So
no, but you want me to answer that right now, or should I?
Yeah, but I think Lakmali, you can respond.
Just don't take it. I'm just asking. If you have to ask, you all are all...
No, so I think you're talking about Dr. Nihalabesinghe and Chaturanga.
And Bimal
and Samanmali Gunasinghe, yes. So I will start with Dr. Nihalabesinghe and Chaturanga Besinghe. Yes, he's Dr. Nihalabesinghe's son.
No, it's fine. But
you
all these days accusing the other.
So it's only bad for Mahinda Rajapaksa and Namal Rajapaksa.
No, I think let's let Lakmali.
I think I should be given the chance to explain.
Sure.
So I think what nepotism is, I think people are not understanding what nepotism is I'm not trying to disrespect Namal Rajapaksa or anything, but I don't know why he is in politics if not for his father, Mr. Mahinda Rajapaksa. And similarly with Sajid Premadas, I'm not sure why he's in politics if not for his father, Mr. Ranasinghe Premadas. Chaturanga, of course, you had to wait until how many years to find out that he's actually Nihalabesinghe's son. And now only you're raising this matter. I think Chaturanga has built his political career and his credentials on his own. He doesn't refer to himself as I'm Nihalabesinghe's son. That is nepotism. Nepotism is when you give opportunities to people based on their family relations and based on family connections. NPP does not do that. Chaturanga is a very capable, very bright young politician, and NPP wants to give them a chance. That's different from his family and his relationship with Dr. Nihalabesinghe. That's one thing. And I'm really sad that Samanmali Gunasinghe is being referred to as Bimal Ratnayaka's wife, which Bimal Ratnayaka has never done. He has never really referred to Samanmali Gunasinghe as his wife.
On the political stage? On
the political stage, because she has been a long-standing political campaigner, a student political activist, and she has a long political career, which actually predates Comrade Bimal's political career. So it's not fair to say that she's just Bimal Ratnayaka's wife. Just because she's married to somebody who's better known than her, let me say, that doesn't mean that she herself doesn't have political. She has been part of JVP for a very long time. She's part of Aithin Sandaha Kantao, the women's wing of, she actually heads it, and she has been part of NPP for a really long time, and she has been active in Dehiwala Galkis municipal council for a really long time. So I don't think it's fair to say that she's getting into politics based on her connections to Comrade Bimal, which is not true. So I don't think just because you have members who are, you have family members who are doing politics, and just because you are married to some guy who's actually active in politics, that doesn't mean that should be the only defining factor of your political career. I just want to make it very clear that NPP's criticism of, and I'm guessing JVP's criticism of nepotism is not as simple as that. That is, people are denied political opportunities. Damitha himself said that now that old guard is defeated, now you have a chance in the party. I think that has been the problem with all of these political parties.
Now I have a chance. The party has revived itself.
So exactly, I think that's a good thing.
Those are two different things.
I think it's a good thing that these political families are falling apart.
If I may get the chance, because my leader was harshly criticized, so I have the right of
How many family members
But
reply.
just one second, Damitha. Now, initially, when I asked you the question as to why you think SLPP would be a better opposition than the NDF, you said that the NDF's leader has retired and is not contesting. But now, technically speaking, Namal Rajapaksa is not the leader of the SLPP. It's still Mahinda Rajapaksa who is the leader, and he is also on a similar footing as Ranil Wickramasinghe at this election. So I think on that point, of course,
well,
there is a bit of a...
I will have to disagree on that.
But he's not the leader.
No, not being the leader. The leader, according to the party constitution, is our supreme leader, Mahinda Rajapaksa.
Okay.
As the national organizer, Namal Rajapaksa is now driving the party forward.
Okay.
So I won't be wrong when I say he's the leader.
Okay.
Coming back on to Lakmali, now when Bimal Ratnayaka's wife been in politics for so long and coming up the ranks is good enough. But Namal Rajapaksa also has been contesting and he's been voted in by the people. Not because of his father is Mahinda Rajapaksa.
I mean, Damitha, to be very honest, it's not
let
just Namal.
let me finish.
Let's let Damitha and then Lakmali.
Still a democracy.
Sorry.
So I have the right to
please.
reply. And what I'm saying is, it's the people of the country, whether Rajapaksa is elected from Monaragala or whether Rajapaksa is elected from Matara or from Hambantota, it's the people who voted. And how can you say that Namal Rajapaksa has only got the reason of being Mahinda Rajapaksa's son to exist in politics?
I mean, you can explain why.
He has performed as a cabinet minister. As a minister, he was never undergone any allegations, which I'm proud to say because I was part of his administration as the Youth Council chairman. There were zero allegations. He did everything well within transparency and within, the progressive mindset, especially in the sphere of sports. Many prominent administrators, sports personalities, everybody came forward to help. Not because he's Mahinda Rajapaksa's son. So I clearly disagree with what Lakmali is trying to portray, right? Chaturanga Abeyasinghe's father being Nihal Abeyasinghe, it's their internal matter, whether they promote nepotism or not. It's nothing for us to comment. I mean, the question was raised by Dr. Manchanayake, but what I am trying to, my duty is to tell the people of Sri Lanka is, Namal Rajapaksa himself, he has contested 3 times from Hambantota, got the highest preferential votes, nobody pushed, nobody forced, nobody stuffed the ballot boxes, right? It's the people. So if the people want to elect them, there sure be good reasons. So I think Lakmali is doing an injustice to the people of Hambantota.
I have made a small comment on that.
Definitely.
So we have to give respect to Sajid Premdas. But he's also like that. He's all right throughout. He was in Hambantota, contested few times and get elected to the... I mean, he's also probably father is a politician. That's something else.
That's obviously
But by himself,
I'm not...
stood up.
To be very clear,
that will be a plus for Chaturanga as well. I mean, father being the general secretary of NPP.
But Dr. Manchanayake, see again, now when you say this, you're contradicting what you said earlier when you said Sajid Premadasa doesn't have leadership qualities. And that's why Ranil Wickramasinghe will give the
What I am trying to say is...
He's saying that's not nepotism. It's not nepotism.
I'm not still I show that he doesn't have leadership. Still I tell that. But I'll say...
You're saying Sajid Premadasa worked hard in Hambantota for so many years and contested and he held the fort there.
What I'm
so wasn't he demonstrating leadership qualities then?
Because of his father, he didn't come to politics. That's what I'm trying to say. Right? Okay. His father didn't want for him to come.
Okay. So, Dr. Mahim, do you still want to respond? Or I think Dr. Manchanayake has already responded.
Don't worry, I have safeguarded you. I have safeguarded you.
With regard to inability, he tried to say that Mr. Premadasa was unable to wait patiently for his turn. Very clearly, all members of the UNP, including Mr. Wickramasinghe, knows very well that Mr. Premadasa was not someone who was in a hurry to grab power or grip power. He always democratically waited for the mandate. He never wanted to conspire against the party leader, even in the 52-day the fiasco, Maithripala Sirisena's. He very clearly said that there was only one honest man in that cabinet and he wanted him to take the leadership, and Mr. Wickramasinghe was not betrayed by Sajith. He said very clearly, I will not betray the party. Without a mandate, I will not take over power. And we have to respect that. Mr. Wickramasinghe and the UNP should never say that he was not waiting patiently for his turn. And as for Lakmali, I don't know whether she really implied that Mr. Premadasa is in politics because of Ranasinghe Premadasa. Ranasinghe Premadasa was assassinated, and Ranasinghe Premadasa never brought Sajith Premadasa into the political platform. He was sent, when he was interested, he was sent not to Colombo Central where his father still remains, his name remains such a formidable name. He went to Hemachandra and took on the challenge to take over Mahim the Rajapaksa and the Rajapaksas, and convincingly defeated Mr. Rajapaksa twice in the elections. And today, he is not even a member of the UNP. He has formed his own party and stands on his own feet as a formidable...
Dr. Mendis, if I may, because Lakmali is a lone voice here, I'm going to try and stir the pot a little bit. Lakmali, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the specific point that Lakmali was trying to make was that while both Namal Rajapaksa and Sajith Premadasa have had to use their father's names in their campaigning, Mr. Chaturanga Abesinghe has not once on the campaign stage had to mention his father's name to campaign. And you can't say that Mr. Sajith Premadasa has not done that.
May not be an illustrious leader as Ranasinghe Premadasa.
So then where's the nepotism now?
Is quite
so this is
nepotism.
Now suddenly Dr. Nihala...
That's the point you were trying to make?
That's exactly what I was trying to say. I mean, I'm not saying this. Mr. Namal Rajapaksa and Mr. Sajith Premadasa themselves go on stages and say, I'm this so-and-so's son. Vote for me because my father has done this, because my father has done that. That is how they end their speeches. Chaturanga has never done that. I mean, he never...
His father has done so much to the country.
So
but I doubt Chaturanga can do the same.
Chaturanga stands on his own. Chaturanga has not got any opportunities because of his father.
If you define nepotism to be father and son being in politics,
no, that's
I
not
think
nepotism.
that is also nepotism.
That is not nepotism. Nepotism
you can define it the way you want.
We'll go to sorry, I raised the issue. I don't want to stuck.
There are dictionary definitions.
Uncomfortable.
Down in this issue.
I'm not uncomfortable. I'm not uncomfortable.
No, the thing is that nepotism in politics is good or bad.
Oh, why is it bad?
Yeah, we have to take a principled stand.
No, I mean,
I think it's bad.
I think it's important to set the stage as to where we are.
as long as
Nepotism in politics is good or it's not bad.
I would say it's not bad.
Okay.
As long as it serves the interest of the people.
It's not bad. Okay.
Right. Look at the Kennedys. Look at Trudeau. Isn't there nepotism? Trudeau's father was former prime minister. Now Justin Trudeau is the prime minister of Canada. Kennedy brothers were in politics. As long as the people's interest is taken care of, whether 100 Rajapaksas are in parliament or one Rajapaksa is in parliament or Mahim Rajapaksa's one son or all three sons are in parliament is irrespective.
I think
we have to serve the people. Otherwise, it's the malicious intent.
But then,
just like
but then again, Damitha. Now, I think we need to look at this in the current context. Now, say for example, I think the rule or the rule of thumb across all corporates is that you don't have a husband and wife or a father and son employed in the same division of the company, unless of course they are the owner of the company and it's a family company and you get the directors where they can have family members. But as a rule of thumb, you don't employ people like that because there is room for corruption, there is room for collusion. And are you suggesting to me, or are you suggesting to the general public, that there was no conflict of interest as such when President Gotabaya Rajapaksa was appointed as the president, and about 75 or 80% of the institutions were allocated to ministries that were under former President Mahim Rajapaksa, Chamal Rajapaksa, Basil Rajapaksa, Namal Rajapaksa, then Nipuna Ranavaka and Shashendra Rajapaksa. About 80% of the country's institutions were allocated under ministries under these Rajapaksas, under all the Rajapaksas. So are you telling me that the same concept that corporates apply to their workplace does not at all apply to parliament or cabinet, when these kind of things that are, I mean, I do understand maybe, you know, father and son, one member of the family, 2 members, 3 members, but about, you know, 8, 9 members of the same family, are you telling me it doesn't really apply?
Shalin, first of all, let me say that corporate governance cannot be directly, you know, interpreted into the political sphere. We are comparing 2 different worlds. And the other thing is, you mentioned so many names. Apart from Mr. Basil Rajapaksa, all other members were elected by the general public. So again, I would like to ask you whether you are like judging the, what do you call, conscience of the voter who decided to give the highest preferential votes to, you say, particular personality A.
Can I just add something
please.
there? Because in the last presidential election, people clearly voted against them. I mean, you yourself said that NPP ran a campaign against nepotism. And that is the major reason that, I mean, Anurakumar Dissanayake, Comrade Anurakumar Dissanayake was elected as the president because he does not have any family connections to any politicians, and he portrayed himself as somebody who came from the people without any connections.
Right.
And I think whatever that you're trying to say about people democratically electing these people,
So
that mandate has already been withdrawn, and that I think people have changed their minds about this.
Let me reply to that. First of all, according to the rule of land, according to the election law, Mr. Anurakumar Dissanayake is the president, well accepted. I also accept him as my president. But when you analyze the election scenario, 58% of the voters voted against him, right? So you can't say you have a clear mandate.
That's not how votes are.
Right.
Votes are not cast against people.
Mr. Damitha,
They are cast for
I
people.
mean, if you're speaking about mandates from that lens, you can say that
97.3%
97.3% voted against
We
your
agree, we
candidate.
accept.
80 to 83% voted against your candidate. 70, I'm not sure if I'm getting that, voted against your candidate. 64% voted against your candidate.
What I'm saying is, my explanation, where I'm trying to get at is, yes, we have hit the bottom of the well. So only place we can go up is up. We won't go down from there. So that I agree with you. But what I'm saying is, if the people are voting for the particular candidate, and if the candidate is chosen into the parliament, how does it disqualify that person being a Rajapaksa not to hold office? In what sense? If you say corruption is promoted through that kind of nepotism or family connection or whatever, there is a rule of this land. Any person, there is an independent bribery commission, and this hora hora mantra, like what do you call, money heist to Uganda, which apparently the same person is now refuting in a way that, you know, it was the private sector printer that was taking it was the private sector
You are
printer.
saying Mr. Rajapaksa doesn't have any establishments in Uganda, you are saying that?
Not that I'm aware of. No.
Okay, fine.
No.
I'm just asking.
No, I mean, if you
Just
know,
asking.
if you have the facts, please
No, sure,
disclose
sure,
on the
sure.
table.
Government approved.
As far
I'm
as I
asking a
know,
question, I
as
just
far
asked.
as I know, as far as the leadership has clearly, you know, challenged the president to go and, you know, confiscate the Uganda princesses.
Moving
money
on.
heist.
Moving on from just one question. Sorry, just one
It's
question,
fine, yeah.
because I think we need to ask about it's a parliamentary election. I want to know what's on the legislative agenda. There have been very problematic laws that have come in the past few years. There's the Online Safety Act, for example. And there have been experts who have been calling for what you call an omnibus bill that will repeal these laws. None of the parties have really latched on to that possibility. No one has really committed to the immediate repeal of these sort of, let's say, draconian laws, even though you all have called it draconian laws yourselves. So I want to know, after the 14th of November, or let's say once Parliament convenes, what is the legislative priority? Can I know? Because we always ask, what is the president going to do in the first couple of weeks or in the first 6 months? I want to know what this parliament is going to do, what bills you all are going to bring, what acts you all are going to repeal, what is the legislative agenda?
Nadeem, can I add to that? I would like to know whether the IMF DSA will be renegotiated or...
Do you want to renegotiate?
No. What Honorable Kumara Disanayake said on the political stage, I'm just asking a fair question.
Yeah.
Will you renegotiate?
It's all yours.
So I think we have already mentioned all of these things in our manifesto. What kind of laws we want to bring in and what kind of laws we want to pass in the parliament are already elaborated in the manifesto.
If I may, Lakmali, the reason I'm asking this question is because I've read your manifesto and it's the aspirations are good, the broad base is there, but the specifics are missing.
Timeline.
Right? So for example, if you look at the SAP's sort of blueprint and I think even some of the things that were in the NDA or in President Ranil Wickramasinghe manifesto, there were timelines. What I want to know is, in the absence of a timeline or specifics, right? Because now for people who work in public advocacy, civil society groups, they want to know what is going to, because they need to prepare as well, because they need to study any draft legislation that comes. If it needs to be challenged in the court, they need to be ready to do that. What are the specifics is what I'm asking for. Now you're running as a national list member.
Yeah.
What are the national priorities? What are like the domestic issues? Because I know what's in the manifesto. In the broad strokes, aspirationally, you all are calling for export-driven economy, like you mentioned. Broad strokes, transitional justice. Broad strokes, reconciliation, social cohesion. It's all there. I want to know what the specifics are and what the timeline
On what subject do you want to know the specifics?
In the next few months, as soon as you all get elected, what are you all going to do first? What are the laws that, do you all have any laws in the pipeline?
First, I think the priority for the government is definitely on the economy, right? So, because one of the major campaigns that we have been doing is about the tax amendments and how tax has been burdening especially the working class and salaried people of Sri Lanka, and how that has to be removed or at
that
least
will come into
mitigated.
effect in April next year.
And then we have the vote of account. That is so vote of account is the major.
That's a 3 month.
Yes.
So Minister Vijitha Herath has said they're going to introduce a vote of account for a 3 month period. And then after that a more comprehensive budget.
Yes.
That's no economy. Let's say, for example, the economic transformation bill, which you all opposed, if I'm not mistaken. Are you all going to repeal that? The bodies that it set up. What's the plan there? What are you going to do?
Economic transformation bill, we have opposed that bill. Right, we have already opposed that bill, and I don't think that's a good bill that should be in the parliament.
So, will you all repeal it?
We have to consider repealing it. We're considering repealing it because you know why? Because I'm being very honest here, right? Because the way that we are tied to
be very honest, it sounds to me that you all are considering everything that you all said that you all are going to repeal.
Because Sri Lanka is in a very unstable position. Like, I mean, when you talk about the DSA, they talked about the DSA and everything. So.
I'm still
Mr. Wickramasinghe has done a really good job of tying us into really bad policies for a very long time, right? And removing ourselves from these policies is not going to be an easy task. This is why we wanted a local government election. This is why we were campaigning for a parliamentary election right after the.
But this is why I want to know about the timeline.
So I'm being honest here, right? I'm being very honest here. So. There are certain policies that we have to untie ourselves from, and we have to do it in a way that does not hurt anybody, that does not give the bad, that does not give a negative outlook to Sri Lankan economy. And I mean, I think everybody is aware how negative the outlook can be if you directly go and say, okay, we are now going to repeal the economy. I don't want to say that. I'm not going to come and say, next month we are going to repeal the economy. We have never said that.
But don't you think if you're transparent, if you give the specifics and the timeline,
please let me finish.
Specifics, timeline, two things.
Please let me finish. Please let me finish. Even before the election campaign, we have never said that we will repeal the Economic Transformation Act right after we come to power. We have never said that. And there have been issues like Central Bank Independence Act, and Comrade Anurakumar Dissanayake, President Anurakumar Dissanayake has been
but
very...
the same government still remains, just to remind you.
What government? The governor can't be removed under the act. So the Central Bank Independence Act, we were questioned about these things before, very extensively questioned about these things before the elections, like no other candidate has been questioned. And we were very clear that there are things that we can do right away, and there are things that we have to gradually, incrementally do in a very in a way that does not hurt anyone.
So what's clear to me now is because you said there are things that you have to do right away and the things that you have to gradually do in a way that doesn't hurt anyone. So as far as the things that from your answer, what I got was, as far as the things that you have to do right away, you basically have the vote on account and the tax concessions,
and
which will be
we also have we have energy sector, because the electricity bills have to be reduced. So there are certain we are looking into that as well. So there are sectors that we are looking at, and there are other, like education reforms are there.
Can we get any timelines specifics?
No,
on
I'm
that?
not going to give you timelines, because these have to be considered.
You don't
and
think the people deserve to have no timeline or the specifics of what you're planning?
I'm being very honest here. I'm being very honest here.
You're very honestly telling us that you're not going to be transparent.
No, what? Transparent on what? I am being
timeline
transparent.
Specific.
I'm being transparent. I can give you. What do you mean no plan? You tried this. You tried this campaign.
You continuously say that you are very honest, and you can say you can't say any timeline.
You tried this campaign before the election when you said we don't have.
I have
please,
one other question for you now. Governors matter. Yes, we'll say that according to the act, the governor cannot be removed unless he resigns. Why is Mahim Sirivardhana still?
So this is what I say. Mr. Wickramasinghe has done a very good job of tying us into policies
so
that we have
because of Ranil Wickramasinghe's interest.
No, not Mr. Do you not understand what I'm saying?
No. Just
to be very clear. No, just to be very clear, what the government is prioritizing, especially in this month, when we do not have a parliament, when we do not have a parliament majority in government, is we want to keep stability, and we want to not. We are not backpedaling.
I will help on that answer, because basically, if you are trying to change everybody at once, it's going to run.
Exactly, you can't. It will hurt.
Because I was wondering in some other institutions why they have changed so suddenly. But institutions like Central Bank and Finance Ministry are the crucial places. That fair enough.
Dr. Kithsiri,
election is over.
I think what is happening is you are trying. There is a picture of President Anurakumar Dissanayake that you had in your head before the elections, that you thought he was going to be.
His words.
No, wait.
It's exactly his words on the campaign stage.
Where did he say that he was going to remove
Mahim Sirivardhana and this Central Bank Governor Nandalal Veerasinghe should be tried for the crimes they have done? He said that openly in the...
Did he say that? Okay, fine. Anyway,
if you are backpedaling on that,
I'm not backpedaling. We have to be... This is a government with one executive president and 3 cabinet ministers. We do not have a parliamentary majority. We have to be responsible for our people. We have to make sure that people are not hurt. NPP has never been that kind of political party. We have not... We don't want to hurt people just because we want to push... Even in the last Face the Nation program that I participated, I clearly said we do not have ideological positions. What we have, the only ideology that we have is solution seeking, and we want to make sure that people are not hurt in any of the decisions that we make.
Okay,
right?
understood, yeah.
And we have inherited a really bad government. We have inherited really bad laws. We have inherited really bad policies. True. And it will take some time, and it will take a certain level of very calculated, measured decision making to untie ourselves from those policies and those positions that we have been pushed into. This is not our choice. You talked about the DSA. Yes, we did talk about the DSA before the presidential election. We did not believe that the debt relief we received was enough. Right?
No, I understood.
Exactly.
Now, Mahim Sirivardhana and Dr. Nandalal Veerasinghe is part of the solution.
You're not letting me finish. Let me finish.
NPP nationalists.
But 3 days.
Understood. I agree.
Lakmali, you can finish.
Yes. On 19th of September, when 2 days before the election, Mr. Ranil Wickramasinghe went into a principal agreement with the ISB bondholders, with the international creditors. And he did that during the silent period of the election, when no political party could actually comment about it. Right? And these are decisions that had already, I mean, let's be, the negotiating space is very limited once you get into certain agreements. Once you get into, and you can only get into negotiations if there is space. I mean, 19th September.
No, understood.
During the silent period.
What Lakmali is saying is, I think what Lakmali is saying is that Andrew Kumar Dissanayake made that statement before the agreement.
Before the agreement was made.
Okay.
On 21st September, the presidential election was happening. 2 days before the presidential election, let me be when there was a candidate, when there was a winning major candidate who actually wanted to renegotiate the DSA, Mr. Ranil Wickramasinghe went ahead and went into in principle agreement.
So it's Ranil Wickramasinghe's fault?
No, I'm not saying it's Ranil. I mean, we don't want to play the blind government.
If I get a minute,
we do not want to do
my
that.
My memory went back to my playing days.
1 minute. Yes, Damitha.
My coach used to say, a Bradburn at practice is not a Bradburn at the center, so I understand.
Okay, I think Teruni has some questions. Dr. Mahim, we will give you an opportunity.
Thank you, Shalan. So I've been meaning to ask this question for quite some time. Damitha, looking at the pool of candidates that the SLPP has this time, a striking feature is that around, correct me if I'm wrong, but around 40 of your prominent political figures have either decided to entirely drop out of the race or contest from the national list. And the public's opinion on this is that they're afraid of losing, or maybe that secrets of theirs may come out to light. What's your opinion on that?
Well, first of all, let me correct you. We had only about 20 MPs remaining with us because the majority defected to former President Ranil Wickramasinghe. So out of that 20, the senior most leaders, anyway, they were in the opinion not to contest elections after the 2019 elections. So including our party leader Mahinda Rajapaksa, Chamal Rajapaksa, and other senior leaders, they had already decided not to contest the upcoming elections anyway. I mean, the presidential election results didn't have any effect on that. But clearly, if you observe the news yesterday, former President Mahinda Rajapaksa said, although he is not contesting electoral, elections, he will remain in politics, like the UNP leader, former President Ranil Wickramasinghe. And also, if you consider the defectors also being the dropout of the SLPP, of course, there's about 100, right? Majority of the people who have defected to the NDF or Mr. Ranil Wickramasinghe, they have either quit running or they have taken a temporary break. But the remaining MPs who are with us, apart from the senior leadership, either they are contesting from their respective districts. I can say Nipuna is running from Matara, Thenuka is running from Adulla, Shashindra is running from Monaragala, likewise. Indigan Ruddha is running from Gampaha. Either they are contesting or they are in the national list.
Okay.
And that opened up the opportunity, as I told in my opening remarks, for people like us, right, to step forward, take the challenge, and have our hand at the electoral game.
Right.
Although we have been in politics behind the screen.
So just a follow up to that, do you think that something that influenced that decision of theirs is the fact that there is an NPP government in place now, or do you think it's all a collective personal decision that they've all taken?
Because the senior leadership was anyway going to
I'm
retire.
not talking necessarily about the senior leadership, I'm talking about the younger prominent figures of the SLPP.
The rest are running.
There are quite a few who have temporarily retired.
Those are the ones you are referring who have defected to Honorable Ranil Wickramasinghe, which we have no control of. I mean, for example, now Kanaka Herath, he is not running in Kegol, but he is not with us. Whoever the remainder of MPs that were with the SLPP after the defection, even the leader, Honorable Prasanna Ranatunga, is not contesting. He was the leader of the breakaway fraction. So it's not our problem anymore, I would say.
On that note, Lakmali, I'd like to hear your opinion on the fact that there are quite a few people who have dropped out of the general election race this time. What do you have to say about that?
I don't think it has been from our party.
No, of course not. I'm talking about your opposition parties.
Yes.
What do you
have to say? As NPP and as a citizen of the country, I'm very happy that the NPP victory is bringing about a political culture change in the political culture, where senior politicians are actually reviewing and, rethinking their decision making and how they have been acting in the recent past. So I think the fact that they're dropping out is actually, like Damitha said, I think NPP winning has been good for every political party in that sense that it has opened up. No, I think that's
Don't
my
quote me
opinion.
for things that I have never told.
That's not his opinion. That's my opinion. I mean, his
Maybe.
political party has given him a chance now to run, right? And
Doesn't have anything to do with the question.
I think it has opened up the space for a lot of young politicians in every political party to come forward and take reign of their political parties, because the discredited leaderships are getting, either dropping out or they are withdrawing into the national list. So I think, regardless of party lines, I think every political party should have young leaders emerging, should have new people coming, and I think that has opened up. And I agree with you that it is because the newcomer has become the president, and it is because a lot of the people are now believing in change. They are not really ready to settle for what we have been doing for the past few decades. So I think that's a good thing.
Thank you very much, Lakmali. I think with that we will have to go into the closing statements. We'll have only a very short 2-minute closing statement. Well, you can really sum up what was discussed today, and of course, maybe even highlight to the general public as to why they should pick your party, or if you are contesting. 2 of the panelists here today are contesting the election. Maybe even why the general public should select you to be a member of the next parliament at this parliamentary election. Let's start off our closing statements with Dr. Kithsiri Manchanayake from the NDF, contesting in Gampaha.
Yes, come from Gampaha, I'm contesting. I don't want to say my number. People like to say it. No, what I'm trying to say is, as I mentioned a few times, we want to have a very strong opposition. So we don't want to, even they, NPP, don't like to have 2/3. So therefore, they also like to have good people in the parliament, good professionals who can practical people in the parliament. So therefore, I'm running for it. I feel that it's a tough game because of this scenario. But still, because there are a lot of heavyweights are there, but still I took the challenge because better than, just go out, better fight and see whether you can get in, because some people, they don't want to lose, so that's why probably they know that majority of people will come from NPP, so therefore they may not get a chance. Yes, of course, but that is not, you have to fight it, you have to try it. So you have to get into that's why I'm trying it. So I'm trying that. So UNP, so long standing UNP and supporters, so I'm contesting. So I believe that the UNP has done a lot of things to this country. So in future we wanted to build UNP under elephant umbrella. So therefore I'm trying hard to get into the parliament. If I get selected, I do my best, and I do my best for the country and the party. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kithsiri Manchanayake. We now move to the closing statement of Damitha Wickramasinghe from the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna, contesting also from the Colombo district. Although, Damitha, just if you could maybe in a closing statement address just one thing. Now, you said that the SLPP, after a majority of your party defected, is now cleansed. But the SLPP under the leadership of Mahinda Rajapaksa, and especially even when Mahinda Rajapaksa was the leader of the SLFP, there was this concept that was propounded called the Salon Do or Salumdura. Is the Salumdura in the SLPP now closed? Is it a permanent
Rajapaksa.
Is it a permanent do or is it a Salumdura still?
No. Just to start with it, Namal Rajapaksa nailed it shut. So, no, there's obvious reasons. The SLPP under the new leadership of Namal Rajapaksa is looking to revamp and revive, right? As I told in my opening statement, about 1 million voters went to Ranil Wickramasinghe during the presidential election who have been voting with us due to obvious reasons, the defections, and maybe, they had their own reasons of the economic revival or whatnot. But now Mr. Ranil Wickramasinghe is not running, right? So they have all the right to come back home, right? And also there is a faction.
They have a right to come back home?
Of course.
So then the Salumdura is not, it's not.
No, the voters,
the voters?
Not the leaders.
Not the leaders, okay.
Yeah, the voters, of course. You flock around the tree, right? So, and also we have observed very clearly that about 1 million out of the 6.9 million votes have stayed home, not voting for any party. And also there have been a large defection to NPP. we don't want to lie about the situation. We have understood that, and we are trying to revamp. We are trying to bring in new people, and I'm also, as I told in my opening remarks, I'm also selected as one of the pole bearers. So hopefully, if the Colombo district people agree that I should be, one of the pole bearers, I should be elected. Whatever said and done, we are running for the revival of our ideology. Right? The centre left is still alive because of Namal Rajapaksa ran independently from Mr. Ranil Wickramasinghe's ideology. So we are quite confident. We have a young leadership. In fact, we have the only leader in the country who has, we can bank out about 30 years in line for the future, because he is still 38. So he has a long way to go, and he cannot keep on lying. And also, one of the reasons for our, I would say, temporary setback is the malicious lies that were spread around on the leadership, especially the Uganda, money heist, the Lamborghinis and whatnot. So we intend to reply to them in future, taking necessary legal actions, maybe even sometimes. And we are going for the revival, and it's going to be a new party, new brand in the future where the people of this country can bank on.
Thank you very much, Damitha Wickramasinghe from the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna, again contesting from the Colombo district. We now move to the closing statement of Lakmali Hemachandra from the National People's Power Movement. Your time starts now.
So I think I just want to repeat what I said when I started off, that people have voted for a change, and as a member of NPP and as a citizen, especially as a woman, I welcome that change, and I think it's a very important change to make in this country. And the way ahead is not going to be easy. We don't have to, not in the sense that Mr. Wickramasinghe was saying that this is a well parliament, all of us are going to shake off and go. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is we have been used to a certain system in this country, whether it's the politicians, whether it's the officials, whether it's maybe, at every layer of the government, there is a way that things are done. And NPP wants to change that. NPP wants to make sure that when we get through these 5 years, that we have made considerable changes in the way governance is done in this country and in the way decisions are made in this country. So for that, we need to have a majority in the parliament. We can't, I don't want to come here, like Najim was constantly asking, I want to come here and say, next month we are going to do this, next month we are going to do this. No, I don't think the way Sri Lanka is right now, nothing is going to be as easy as that, but we are committed to making that. We are not going to tell you that, you have to take the burden solely on yourself and, go down the Valpalama while we enjoy everything that is given to us through state and through taxpayers' money. That's not the project that NPP is committed to. NPP wants to make sure that there is new people in governance, there's fresh people in governance, women are in governance, and we have, national consensus on policy making, that we are not isolating anybody, marginalizing anybody. It's a Herculean task. We do understand that. We understand that it is a Herculean task. But I think with the right political will and with the right kind of engagement with people, we can make those changes. Right? And we need the support of the people to make those changes. This cannot be done just because Anurakumar Dissanayake is the president of the country. He also needs your support. He also needs a good parliament to do that. He needs his people in the parliament to do that. Yes, we are not opposed to an opposition. We think an opposition is a healthy check on the government.
It should be done. Have in the opposition?
Anybody who is honest.
Anybody who is honest?
Anybody who is honest would be a good pick.
I think the better question would be, who would you advise the general public not to vote for at this general election?
Exactly. I think that's a better question, yes. I think people should stand by what they have chosen. A lot of interpretations are coming in. It's just 42%, 58% have voted against change. I don't think so. I think this started not just in Aragale. This started about 10 years ago when people decisively voted for, change in
Maithripala Sirasa.
Exactly, right? There was a lot of hope attached to that as well, which fell apart. And we do understand there's a responsibility on our government not to let that happen again. When people vote for change, if it falls about, it always opens the space for all kind of reactionary politics. And we have the responsibility not to let that happen as well. So in that sense, we have a responsibility not to let, all of these people get into power again. It's on us.
I don't think you're referring to
Wishful thinking.
Yeah. I mean, that's the wish. That's the wish.
I think
and that's the plan.
Lakmali saved the most harshest comment to put out in a closing statement. But thank you, Lakmali, from the National People's Power Movement. Of course, Lakmali isn't contesting. She's on the national list of the National People's Power at this general election. Finally, we have Dr. Mahim Mendis, again no stranger to the show, to deliver his final address. He is also not contesting from the SJP, but also a member of the national list. Your time starts now.
We mean nothing but business. Very clearly, as much as AKD with 375,000 votes polled at the last elections became president, very much less than the required 50%. We have polled 4.6 million votes in this country in order to ensure we are very firm in our conviction. We also want the NPP to take its promise seriously for a corruption-free Sri Lanka, because it is we who went to the Supreme Court. I was the principal petitioner in this historic Supreme Court case against those who bankrupted the Sri Lankan economy. We know the verdict given by the Supreme Court. Mr. Mahinda Rajapaksa, Gotabaya Rajapaksa, Basil Rajapaksa, P.B. Jayasundara, S.R. Artigala, W.D. Lakshman. We know all those people were found guilty by the Supreme Court of violating the public trust, working against the social contract with the people, inappropriate decision-making, misuse and abuse of power. We are asking the MPP, what action do you want to take against these people? You cannot say that you are considering action, because we of the SJB, we are the only party that has very clearly made progress in proving a case in the Supreme Court. And if we are in power, obviously our lawyers are ready, members of Parliament will be ready to do the needful to ensure not only those people, 9 people found guilty by the Supreme Court, will be taken to task, but also, as promised, the SJB will believe in structural reforms that will ensure that even people of the SJB, if they are in government, will not be able to misuse and abuse power. Not even Sajid Premadasa, who is considered an honest leader. So we mean business. Unlike NPP or any other party, it is we who went to the Supreme Court. It is we who proved the case. Please vote for us, because we have credibility as a party that proved the case.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mahim Mendis from the Samagi Jana Balavagia. And also, once again, thank you very much to all our panelists. And not forgetting our able journalists who asked all the right questions, Teruni Karunaratna and Nadim Majid. Thank you very much for asking all of those right questions. And to all our viewers, a kind reminder that bad political representatives are elected by good citizens who do not vote. And inside all of us is the power to bring about change in ourselves and also in the way that we govern our country. And we need some change, or we need a difference in the way that we do things, because we can't do the same things the same way that we have done it in the past and expect a different result. And for that, you have to go to the polling station and vote for your preferred candidate at the general election. And of course, we at Newsfirst will keep you up to date so that the vote that you cast and the decision that you make will not be just a decision, but an informed decision. Thank you very much for tuning in to another episode of Face the Nation. We'll see you again, same time, same place next week. Until we meet again, take care and God bless.
We live in a world of progress, but what if progress isn't reaching everyone?